percents is something we have worked on, but I'm going to ramp up the difficulty just a little. Not crazily. Okay? You get a basic formula that I just kind of copied from your book. Okay? The percent of a number is another number. So of is going to translate directly to the multiplication. Is, of course, is your equal sign. So we can technically do any of the problems you guys will see in these three sections using this formula. Okay? The percent, however, we're going to have to do something to that before we put it in the equation, okay? All right. So, does everybody see this? So your next quiz, you can use a calculator. Okay?
I forget my calculator at home.
Well, I guess you won't. You're using a calculator.
Do you use a calculator on your phone, or is that banned?
I'll let you answer that.
I use a calculator on the phone.
I'll let you answer that.
We can't even
All right, so tithes and offerings are generally given at 10% of one's income. If our church received $35,500 for one particular month, what do we expect is the total monthly income for church attendance? So what we're assuming here is, everybody gave 10%. Okay?
multiply that by 10.
Hang on, Fisher. That's correct. That's going to get you the right answer, but I want to make sure you could do that in case it was like 7%. Okay?
Hi.
Hey.
I need to drop this off for a loop.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
History project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So, at least you got it, buddy. Now you're going to be ready. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Shh. Where does the 10% go?
Don't you usually know how many people at the church now?
No. Because I'm not finding out the total monthly income. Like, so what is their total income, regardless if that's how many people there are. So, we also don't know that they all make the same amount. It's just the total amount. So 10%, how do we write that as a number? 0.10 or 0.1, sure. That's one thing to keep in mind, is that anytime you're doing percent problems, you must write it as a fraction or a decimal. And 10% means 10 per 100. 10 out of 100 or 0.10. All right. What's next? What's the A? Shh. What's the A part? 10% of what? The income. We don't know that. So we can just put I there. Or would you rather me put A? With that? Okay, we'll put A. 10% of A equals, so 35,500 is the 10% after it's been taken of the whole. So what's important to remember here is we're taking 10% of an unknown value. If you put A here and 35,500 here, you're going to get it wrong. You're going to find a smaller number. We have to be finding a bigger number than 35,500 because it represents 10% of the whole. Okay? Yeah. So said another way, if this is 1/10, then this is 35,500. We're looking for how much is in the entire circle. So we want to make sure we understand the concept that I'm looking for a larger number. Now you guys have all said this already, just multiply by 10 and you'll be done. That is true, but I want to make sure you see that that's the same thing as dividing by 0.1. Because 0.1 is 1/10, so the reciprocal, right? If we divide by 0.10, that's the same thing as multiplying by 10, yes? And so we're going to get 355,000. 355,000. Okay? That's what we assume is the total income of the church attendance for that month. Okay? Now, as Alden pointed out, we don't know what each person makes. It doesn't matter. That's the combination that the whole congregation makes. Okay? Now, how about I make it really simple? 25 is what percent of 30? How do we do that? Go back to our formula. Percent. So I don't know the percent, but I know what? What's important here is to recognize where does the 25 go, where does the 30 go.
So 30 would be like the last one
No.
out of 100?
25 is. So the one key to recognize that is the is separating 25 from the rest of it. So the 25 would be here, and the 30 would be here. Now think about that. If you look at it this way, this says some percent of 30 is 25. So that's the other way to help think. Just put the 25 by itself. One final intuitive way is to think, okay, well, I'm just going to do 25 out of 30, aren't I? And the only way to get that is to make sure that the 25 is over here. So to solve this, to get p by itself, I'd have to divide both sides by 30, right? So the percentage is equal to 25 divided by 30, which is 5 out of 6, or 0.83333. Keeps on going. So what we're going to do, what is that as a percent? How do we convert that decimal number to a percent?
It's 83%.
It's 83, and then we're going to do this. We're going to put the little bar over there, like that. Our calculator would be able to show us that, though, okay? Okay. Fred paid 7% sales tax on his new sneakers, and this amounted to $462. How much did the sneakers cost before tax? All right. So what this means, 7% of the sneaker price is $462. So 7% of the price, that's how we write 7%, of, we're going to multiply the price, I'm going to put P, equals the tax of $462. Now think about that. Do you expect the cost of the sneakers to be bigger or smaller than $4.62? Bigger. So I want to think about the way that I've written this equation. 7% of some number is 462.
So would you want to multiply by 93?
No. Not quite. You're thinking about the right number relationship. But
You just divide.
You have to divide it first and
We're-
then multiply
Multiply
it.
7 on either side.
we only have to do one step. Algebraically, if I want to get P by itself, it's being multiplied, so I'm going to do what?
Divide.
I'm going to divide by 0.07. It's one step on both sides. So, P equals whatever that is. Calculator? Nobody brought theirs? You just don't have it out. You're like, I can't believe this. Let's use calculator. Okay? If you ask me, I'm just going to forewarn you, if you ask me where's the percent button on your calculator, I'm going to give you a dumb look. If your calculator has a percent button, I'm going to give it a dumb look. Percent, we just understand, represents out of 100. So, 462 divided by 0.07, $66. Now, we're going to test this, okay? $66. But to test it, what I want to do, I want to take 66 and I want to multiply it by 0.07 because that would find 7% of 66. What am I hoping to get? 462. Okay, so $66 is how much the price tag says. And then by the time you go to the register, it's going to add 7% to that. So, where we're going, we're not here yet, but what we do, we take 66 and we multiply it times 1.07. What is that doing? Well, the 1 represents the $66. Plus 0.07 represents 7% more. So this would be the total cost of the sneakers after tax.
How did you use that button that became a decimal? I can't figure it out.
It's the SD thing. I had to learn it on this calculator when I got it. Okay? You can go back and forth. Just goes back and forth. All right, percent. So I might have to do some more percent talk on Thursday, but that'll be all right. Another part of lesson 69 is absolute value. Has anybody learned about absolute value before today? Absolute value is defined as the distance a number is from 0.
Didn't you teach us that before?
Maybe.
Isn't
Maybe.
that just a number? Or
It is just a number, but because it's a distance, it's always... Oh, you do know it. All right, now listen, here's the analogy I like to give. How far away is Asheboro from Greensboro? About 30 miles. It's not 15 minutes, guys. Y'all need to look up and look out. It's at least 25. It's not
To the
15.
very tip of Greensboro. That's speed.
All right. Let's say downtown Greensboro. It's about 30 miles. Okay, just say that for now. 30 miles. Do you think people who live in Greensboro say that they're negative 30 miles from Asheboro? No. Distance is always positive. That's right. Right? I'm about 10 feet from you. You're not negative 10 feet from me.
Yes, you will.
Okay? Don't make it harder than it is, Luke. Distance is always going to be communicated as positive. Okay? That's kind of the way the distance formula works based on the Pythagorean theorem. Does that sound like a foreign language, or have you heard that before?
I've heard it. I don't know what it is.
All right. Well, anyways, before I get caught going too far, whatever the number is, whether it be positive or negative, we're going to communicate its absolute value as the number of units from 0. So here's what we say: the absolute value of negative 4 is 4, because it's 4 units from 0. What other number is 4 units from 0? 4.
So you'll never know if you're negative 4 or regular 4 away.
No, it all depends on context, okay? So, usually, absolute value will be used in the future when the direction does not matter. And the analogy I tried to give you indicates that. It doesn't matter that Asheboro and Greensboro are 30 miles apart. You would say it's 30 miles away, regardless of what city you're saying it from. So the direction does not matter. Okay? So 4 is the other number. Okay, but it all hinges on this. So what's the absolute value of 7? 7. What's the absolute value of negative 3? What's the absolute value of 0? All right, so that's the only one that can only be one answer. Okay? What we could say about all of these is that's equal to the absolute value of 3, just like this is equal to the absolute value of 7. Okay? Now this, I don't know how much further we go in this class with absolute value, but that's all you're going to do for right now. Okay? All right, turn the page over and we'll finish up. So,
What more is there?
combining integers, the times part on delta math. So, you guys are going to have to learn to do this fluently, and that means without this. But, and here's the thing, I'm giving you the timed version because you don't have time to type it in here. You've got to do it in your head. When you add two positive numbers, there's nothing special to do. When you add a negative and a positive, you got to think, or actually, I'm sorry, when I subtract a positive, that's the same thing as just subtract. When I add a negative, that's the same thing as subtract. And then when I subtract a negative, that's like adding. So what I want you to think about here is when the signs are the same, it's plus. When the signs are mixed, it's subtraction. So what we'll do, we'll look at number 1. That's 5 plus negative 4. I'm going to rewrite that as 5 what? Minus 4. That's all that means. What's that? This is 1. 4 minus 5. Well, there's only one symbol, so the parentheses really doesn't matter. But 4 minus 5. I'm starting at 4, and then I'm moving 5 to the left, because subtraction means move left.
I don't have time to draw my number line.
You don't, well, not for delta math, but starting out. Okay? All right, so I can't keep you anymore. Why don't you guys try these as part of your homework, and I'll see you Thursday. Or in like 2 minutes, because you're in history, or an hour, because you're in history.
This is at 12:30.